All right, today I want to talk about these EV200D goggles in 2022. Um, they are kind of a mid-range goggle, they're said to be, but the price is pretty high here. We can see on Get FPV it's $320. You can get them on Banggood, I think, for $300, so a little cheaper. So I think I got them for $245 on sale. They come with this little battery pack. You need to include your own batteries, though. That takes two 18650 batteries. It comes with a quad versity, so two diversity receivers. And you can take one out if you want. And I'll explain why you might want to do that later. I believe it came with no antennas, not even these dipole little stick antennas. So you're going to need to get at least two of those. Four if you want to use the quad versity. If you do end up doing that after this video, I would suggest probably two omnis and two patches, or one omni and three patches for the best reception. So here's my pair. They've been used a bit. You can see I only have one of the modules in there right now. I guess we'll start with that. The first thing about this is if you have the quadversity going, your reception is a little better, but it eats through the battery so fast. So I had two 18650s in there, and they weren't. They were pretty good cells, but they're not like the highest capacity. I think they were like 2500 milliamp hours. I think I would get like 45 minutes of battery life, or maybe 30. Just not long enough in my opinion. It felt like I would have to change it. I would have to have a spare batteries just to go flying, one session of a few battery packs on my drone. So that's why I ended up taking out the other module and I only have one in there. The reception's not that much different, honestly. But yeah, so that's kind of my first gripe. The quadversity is not worth the battery life, especially when you're just limited to 2S here. And the next thing I want to talk about is the adjustment, the eye adjustment, the IPD adjustment, these things right here. So you can adjust the distance that, or how far apart the screens are. But for me, and it may be different for other people, but for me, I could never, ever get the image to be in focus and the whole image on the visible at the same time. So I might have it in focus, but the edges are cut off on either end. And if I had the edges in, then it wasn't in focus. And I don't wear any glasses or contacts, so I don't think that would have any impact. But yeah, that IPD adjustment was really annoying. It seems manageable, at first. It's $250 for a quadversity, Fat Shark style goggle. So maybe you want to deal with that. Fine. Let's see. My next complaint: the menus are not great. Honestly, I haven't used these in a while, so I don't remember my complaints exactly. I just remember being a little tricky to navigate. But I think after a while you get used to it. So even if it's tricky, you'll just have to read I would keep the manual with you, while you're still learning, so you have that as a reference. Yeah. So the good thing about these is they will take diopter lenses. So if you do wear glasses, you can slide in some custom-made lenses into these little slots for each eye, so you can get your prescription. So you could, have your prescription glasses in there, basically. And that's nice, I guess, if you wear glasses, especially at this price point. The next disadvantage of these, I want to say, is if you do decide you want to change out this module, and you can, this faceplate just snaps off. and then you have access to this bay where you can change this module out. None of the standard modules fit in here correctly, so you either have to print a cover with your printer, which I tried a couple and they didn't really fit either. I don't know, maybe my printer wasn't calibrated right, but I think I have it pretty locked down. And I couldn't get anything to fit. And this thing would jiggle around all the time, and sometimes it would I guess loosen enough to where I would have brownouts. I would lose picture completely. The whole goggle would restart, or not, the goggle wouldn't restart, but I'd lose video, which is scary, when you're in the middle of flying. So I ended up buying. There's an adapter for Sky Zone goggles to use like a TBS Fusion module or a rapid fire module, because they also Sky Zone goggles also have the issue of normal ones don't fit. So I had an adapter on here at one point because I bought a TBS Fusion that kind of just taped onto the side, and then you plug it into the AV port, and the DC power connector, it gives you a little splitter so you can plug it into both, powers the module and the goggles. That worked okay. I kind of just stuck it on here with double-sided sticky tape, and it was okay. A little bulky, but that seemed like the best solution. I think it was like $10 for the adapter. So yeah, those are all my complaints with this goggle. Oh, the foam padding isn't great. And there was a URUAV one on Banggood I thought I'd try, but it was worse. It was so much worse. It made the view worse. You couldn't see anything. I don't know how to explain it because I don't remember exactly. I haven't used these in a while, as I said. I don't remember exactly what the problem was. I just remember I immediately took it off because you couldn't see anything. It made it so much worse. So if you see those URUAV, foam pads for this goggle specifically, do not buy them. It was really terrible. So if I were to be buying goggles now, what would I do? So I think your best options are going to be either going all in and buying the most expensive goggle, or just going with a cheap EV200D. So I'll go over some of the options. So your absolute cheapest option are these EV200Ds. They have diversity, which is, I would say, pretty necessary. They're a box style goggle, so they're not as sleek looking, but I have a friend who actually really prefers box style goggles over the kind of Fat Shark style goggle. I believe you have a wider kind of field of view in these than you would, in box style goggles in general. So it can be a little immersive. Some people say it makes them more nauseous though. The good thing there's also the EV200DM, which is kind of the newer model. And the good thing about the DMs is that you can pull the screen out. So if it's like a little out of focus for your eyes, this front part pulls out, so you can kind of adjust the focus a little. Now, the disadvantage for going for these is one is a little bit more expensive, but the cool thing about these is if you do end up upgrading later, this original D model, not the DM, if you upgrade later, this screen comes off, and so you can just have an external screen for your drone, to show people, or just to have testing stuff on a workbench. It's really convenient. I always wish I had one of these because it's kind of a pain to look through, be doing something on the bench, you're testing, and you have to kind of put these on and then check your screen, that you're looking for whatever you're testing. It's just much easier if you have a separate screen to test that kind of stuff. So that's an advantage for these, is that even if you upgrade later, they won't get outdated, and they're pretty cheap. $100 at Pyro Drone. I'm not sure if they might be cheaper on Banggood, but of late, Banggood's prices have actually been worse than kind of North American stores like Pyro Drone, Race Day Quads, Get FPV. So I would check Banggood and also the other websites. But yeah, $100 sounds not too bad. And these also come with 2 antennas, so you don't really need to buy antennas if you don't want to. Of course, you can always buy better antennas, but these will be totally fine. This also has a DVR, so you can record your flights, which is good. Not only for showing other people, but I suggest always keeping recording on and just have it copy over the oldest stuff, because if you ever crash and you might think you know exactly where you crashed, but you start walking out there and trust me, you'll forget. So it can be really helpful to just look back at the DVR and find right before you crash some kind of landmarks to help you find your drone. I've had to do that before. So yeah, that's another reason I like DVR. So this is probably your cheapest option, these DMs. If you want to go a little more expensive, the SkyZone Cobra S, I haven't heard much of these since they've been released, but when they were released, the reviews were really good. The module that comes in this, the video receiving module, this thing on top, is really good. It's the one that comes with the SkyZones, the SkyZone 04Xs. I'm blanking on the name right now. SteadyView right here, SteadyView receiver, and the advantage of this is it's not only diversity. It takes the parts of the image, the best parts from both antennas, and combines them into one picture instead of just switching between the 2 antennas. So one antenna might have, one line of pixels that are better than the other, and it'll combine that line with the whole image just to give you the best overall picture. So this module is really good. Again, a little more expensive, but these I think you could keep for a really long time. Also, I've heard the menu system in here is really nice and easy to use. And if it's the same DVR in the 04Xs, the DVR is pretty good. And yeah, and then a little step up from this. So this is 4.3 inch 800 by 400 LCD screen. That's what the Cobra S is. The Cobra X is almost the same thing. It's upgraded. It has the same SteadyView receiver, and it has slightly higher resolution than the Cobra S here. But again, $250, significantly more expensive. So let's see if it says the resolution here. 1280 by 720. So this is the same resolution as the EV200Ds. So yeah, that's these are pretty nice, but this is up to $250. Now, if you want to just dive right in and buy the best goggles for analog, at least, you should consider the SkyZone 04Xs. These are the ones I use now. I really like them. The OLED screens make such a difference, and I'm sure you've seen other videos where people tell you that, and you're like, yeah, okay, but it really, really makes a big difference. People are not exaggerating. This has the option of quadversity if you really wanted. I have not done that, and I have not heard of anyone doing that. I think the SteadyView receiver here with 2 antennas is totally fine. And yeah, I love these goggles. The menu system's great. The DVR is great. The screen quality is fantastic. Very comfortable. But the thing is that at this price point, $529 goggles. $529, not goggles. You have to start considering if you want to do DJI. So would I get the EV200Ds again, I guess, at the end of this conclusion? No, absolutely not. I think I would, if I'm nervous about spending a lot of money, I would just get these, the EV800Ds or DMs. If I have a little more money to spend than that, I would get this Cobra S's. But yeah, other than that, I would just go straight. If I just want to dive right in, I'm just going for the SkyZones or thinking about DJI. So I would not get those EV200Ds. But yeah, I hope that helped you decide on what goggles to get in 2022. Those are my recommendations. I also think you should watch other videos to get an idea of how much you want to spend, what's right for you, etc. But yeah, I hope that helps.